Hello everyone. So today's webinar topic is transforming organization through groundbreaking data governance technology. So in this session, we are going to dwell into the innovative strategies that are reshaping how organizations manage, protect, and leverage their data assets. In an era where data is a critical business asset, this discussion highlights cutting-edge data governance technology that are empowering organizations to enhance compliance, drive efficiency, and unlock the true potential of their data. And by adopting this, the organization can able to mitigate risk and enable informed decision making while positioning themselves as a successful organization into this digital age. So I'll start with how we define data governance and what we see data governance as a tool in the market. So data governance platform is a comprehensive solution designed to manage, oversee, and ensure the proper handling of data within an organization, and it encompasses the policies, procedure, and technologies required to manage the availability, usability, integrity, and security of data, ensuring the data is reliable and consistent and compliant with relevant regulation. So we have jot down few pointers, important pointers about the data governance platform. Like data governance platform promotes the availability, quality, security of an organization's data through different policies and standards that is defined and implemented in the organizations through data stewards. Then data governance aim to ensure high quality, secure, and accessible data for deeper business insights by enforcing policies that manage data availability, quality, and security within the organization. The data governance also addresses inconsistencies between systems that can interfere with data integration capabilities within an organization and can affect the accuracy of business intelligence and analytics. So, by resolving these issues, data governance support trustworthy decision making and enhance operational efficiency within the organization. And lastly, by implementing data governance practice, helps organization to adhere regulatory requirements and data protection law, thereby minimizing the risk of data breaches and legal penalties, which helps them to ensure the protection of sensitive information and uphold the data integrity uh, for the data that they have into the organization. Um, can we move to the next slide, Matt? Yeah. So these are few of the capabilities and functionalities that we look into a data governance platform, and we have also evaluated vendors who can provide some of the broader capabilities that we will discuss in this session. So to start with data cataloging, it helps organization to standardize, organize, and document data asset across the organization, while it also helps users to easily search, discover, and classify the data within a centralized repository of data assets. Data quality helps to ensure that the data is accurate, in proper quality, complete, consistent, and reliable, and also helps to monitor and improve the quality of data and provide features such as data profiling, cleansing, and validation so that the users can use a right quality of data to generate insights and analytics from it for a better decision making. Then data lineage. It helps people to track the data from where that has been origin, the movement of those data, transformation throughout its life cycle into the organization. And it also helps in understanding how data flows from one system to another system into the organization and through the help of knowledge graph, lineage, and all those kind of things, it's been included into data lineage capability of data governance. The last one we talk about is master data management that helps to create a single consistent view of key business entities like customer, product, sales, any kind of data that is being utilized and being regularly flowing into an organization to make an impact or to make an output from it. So these were some of the capabilities that we have focused on. So moving further, we have best practice for effective data governance. So we have identified six best practice or six uh, strategies for having an effective data governance into an organization. So one should have data stewards within an organization that helps to establish clear data governance framework, and it should be given to every people of the organization so that they can adhere to this governance framework. The next one is data governance committee and council. So it helps in designing the policies for utilizing those data and for integrating the data within the organization, and accordingly the data stewards create governance framework out of it. Then the next one is strong data quality. Again, having a right data quality tool and data quality check and verification will help to have a better output for better decision making. Then data privacy and compliance. Of course, a data governance platform should adhere to regulatory requirements and compliance specific to various region, location, and geography as per the customer need and as per the customer data that is available with them.
Thank you, Sophia, for guiding us through the fundamentals of data governance and highlighting best practices in the market. So now I would like to take over to discuss the current trends in data governance technology. Starting with self-service data governance. As we all know, self-service data governance is becoming a trend as organizations empower business users to take control of their own data governance processes, enabling them to access, manage, and govern data independently while ensuring that the compliance and the data integrity across the organization. Moving on with data governance as a service. So, data governance as a service is emerging as a trend, uh, as as also an offering organizations a scalable cloud-based solution that provides ongoing data governance capabilities such as policy management, data quality monitoring, and compliance reporting. So, without the need for any extensive in-house infrastructure. Next comes the data democratization. So, as also know that data democratization is becoming a key trend in data governance, enabling broader access to the data across an organization while ensuring proper controls are in place. So, this trend basically emphasizes empowering non-technical users with self-service tools, allowing them to access and analyze data, thus encouraging a data-driven culture while maintaining governing standards. Moving on with data privacy and compliance automation. Privacy and compliance automation is a growing trend in data governance, focusing on automating the enforcement of privacy regulations and compliance requirements. So, this trend involves the use of advanced technology to automatically monitor, manage, and ensure the adherence of data privacy laws, which actually reduces the risk of non-compliance and enhancing overall data security. Then comes real-time data governance. As we all know, that we need data then and there to actually officialize that the data is on the right place, and and whether we know the data has been acquired at that particular time and moment. So this deals with real-time data governance. Moving on with AI and ML integration. So AI and ML integration is a significant trend in data governance where artificial intelligence and machine learning are increasingly being used to automate the data management task. So this integration actually enhances the accuracy of data classification, improves data quality, and also it helps to streamline the governance process, which enables the organization to manage large volumes of data more efficiently and make data-driven decisions with greater confidence. So now, speaking on the challenges faced by users while using or implementing a data governance platform. So one of the challenge that organization face with data governance is in terms of business value, where they need to develop quantifiable metrics that demonstrate its business value. So this basically includes tracking the data quality improvements, such as the reduction of data errors and the resulting revenue that gains or cost saving. Additionally, organization must also measure the data accuracy, completeness, and consistency with awareness of data management principles among their business value. Next comes the governing data in the cloud. So, as organizations increasingly move applications to the cloud, cloud providers handle some aspects of data security and compliance. So, however, when the companies remain responsible for overall data governance, facing similar challenges as with on-premise system as well. So, for instance, data residency and sovereignty laws may require data to be stored in a specific regions, as we all know. So this might a bit complicate efforts to consolidate and uniformly govern the data across various locations. So here comes the governing big data. So we all recognize that managing big data has always been a significant challenge in data management, and with governing being equally difficult. So moving on, we would like to discuss about AIM's capability as outlined in Quadrant Knowledge Solutions Spark Matrix and the data governance final report. So the Spark Matrix actually assesses vendors based on their technology excellence and customer impact market. So as we all see, AIM has demonstrated considerable advancement in these areas, notably in the breadth and depth of their offerings, including the capabilities and unique features of their Databell platform. So this platform supports a wide range of applications and also various use cases and features an innovative roadmap for further enhancements. So AIM also demonstrates equally substantial customer impact through its broad market presence across various industries with excellent customer service and along with an intuitive user friendly interface. So now moving on, we explored the Spark Matrix findings on the data governance landscape. So, starting with data governance as a standalone platform, integrates with a range of data management tools such as data lineage, quality, data metadata management, and data catalogs, serve as a foundational element for secure data management. Next comes the automated governance system where it oversees the data lineage, enabling the users to trace the origins from where the data arrives and transforms the data. So these systems specialize in utilizing the profile and quality metrics to actively enhance their efforts. The commonly used term, as we all know, corporate data governance. So this basically emphasizes how data governance frameworks are crafted to align with corporate governance objectives, thereby enhancing their market integrity and improving their economic performance as well. Moving on to data ethics and responsible AI. So, as we all know, AI and data driven decision making grow in time. So, this creates an impact on data ethics and responsible AI practices, which intensifies it. So, organizations are prioritizing ethical guidelines and responsible use to address issues like transparency, bias, and data privacy, ensuring that AI technologies are deployed in a manner which aligns the ethical standards and regulatory requirements. Last, which is cloud-based data governance. So, as the organizations moving their data and operations to the cloud, the adoption of the cloud-based data governance solution is increasingly becoming common. So, this approach involves establishing policies and practices to maintain the data accuracy, security, and compliance while utilizing the cloud technologies. So it tackles challenges like data integration, data privacy, and data scalability, enabling the organizations to effectively manage their data across various cloud platforms. So moving on, let's discuss on AIM's differentiators, focusing on their data governance platform. To start with, AIM's valuation engine, which is sophisticated tool that plays a critical role in assessing the value data. It also leverages the advanced algorithms, automations, and AI. So the engine provides consistent, accurate, and timely valuations, supporting the strategic decision making along with risk management within the organization. When it comes to indexing and classification, so AIMS indexing and classification are very crucial for effective data governance, which has the capability of managing terabytes of data. which is very unique. And through these processes, AIM ensures that the data is systematically organized, readily accessible, and securely managed. So, therefore, supporting operational efficiencies and regulatory compliance as well. Now comes the training visualization. So training visualization in AIM includes various models such as Kera's model, which helps the users to gain insights and make informed decisions and effectively communicate data-driven findings. Moving on with indexes using crawlers. So AIM likely uses like web crawlers or indexing bots to systematically scan, collect, and organize the data across sources such as websites, databases, or internal repositories. AIM's automated intelligent metadata extraction and enrichment features an AI assistant with voice interaction capabilities. So this tool enhances the data governance by automatically extracting and enriching the metadata. Thereby, this improves the data management and governance within an organization. Last but not the least, the real-time snapshots of AIM. So real-time snapshots of AIM helps to track the number of data files in use, monitor the data usage over time, and also observe the specific data being accessed at any given moment.
Hi everyone, Matt Smith here, a product owner at AIM, and I work very closely with the couple of different tools that I'm going to be speaking to you about now, which is Data Belt and Data Serve. And you'll see that we have this way of all of our product suites, starting with data, because that's really what our product suite is about. I just wanted to start off as well to explain a couple of terms that you may have heard. So we as AIM are the owner, the developer of a suite of tools called dataEstate, and dataEstate has 4 different software tools within it, each with its own separate API for all of you developers out there. However, they're all integrated to one another as a complete whole. And so what this slide is going to do is just to introduce 2 of the main pieces of software from the dataEstate tooling that pertain to data governance. So we're going to start off with Data Belt. Now you'll see there's a lot of information there on the screen about all the different use cases that it does, and this is not an exhaustive list either. Now I'm not going to spend too long talking about it. My Data Belt demos can take a good hour to 2 hours. I promised I'll be relatively brief and only talk about it for a minute or two. So I'm not going to go into the details of everything you can see on there. However, I'll just give you a quick overview that essentially it's a data governance tool. And what do you need a data governance tool to do? Well, all the things that you've heard about earlier on in this presentation. But essentially the way it works is we have our indexers within Data Belt, so running robotic process automation, AI, machine learning models. We go off, or an organization goes off to their own data using those Data Belt crawlers and indexers. The data gets indexed, and then they can ask any questions of it that they wish. That might be, how much HR data do we have on this specific server? How much redundant, obsolete, and trivial data do we have? Once you then ask those questions and get answers about them, you can then start actually performing actions and processing the data to improve essentially your data quality, your own data estate. So it might be you found a load of redundant data using the Data Belt crawler. So these are potential duplicate files. You might therefore develop some rules within the Data Belt system to automatically delete that data once the business owner has provided approval, or maybe you want to move that data over to some archive storage. Another great use case is perhaps you're looking to get your data up into the cloud from on-prem, and you're moving terabytes and terabytes, maybe even petabytes, and you're looking at how much it's going to cost you, all the money you're going to have to give to Microsoft every month or every quarter to host it in Azure, for example. And actually, therefore, the value of cleaning up your data, deleting the things that you don't need, and moving the things that are less required to run your business day to day to archive storage means that your cloud costs could be reduced. And that could be, as much as half, or as much as a third, for example. So that's the data belt system, essentially what it's about. And then it has all these other use cases on its periphery. So, read these at your leisure, but things like security certificate management. You can use it within legal e-discovery. You heard earlier on in the presentation about data valuation. It's a really cool concept that's growing a bit more popularity recently around businesses' data actually, not about the bricks and mortar that they own and the machinery or whatever it might be, but actually its data has an intrinsic value, or perhaps that data has an intrinsic cost or risk to the organization. So you can do all of these different things all within that single system. And sort of going back to Steve's point about our vision, when we first started this some 6 or so years ago, it was to provide customers with a single piece of software, data belt, to do all of these different things. And we were finding that customers were often going off and buying, 5, 6, 7 different bits of kit, having to manage all those different pieces of software in order to do one job, which is data governance and management. So that's why essentially you can see so many different things there within DataBelt. Moving on to DataServe. Now, I'm in the perfect position to tell you about DataServe because I am the DataServe product owner at AIM. So this is the software that I look after, drive its roadmap, and all of those fun things when it comes to product ownership. So DataServe, if you can think of it as a virtual agent that you can configure using no and low code. And it's also a self-service portal all rolled into one. And DataServe confronts any software that you want that's got an API and even things that don't, using web services and that type of thing. So if you have a very complex sort of software estate across your organization and you expect your suppliers, your customers, your employees to interact with many of those bits of software, during their everyday working lives, DataServe is a really great solution to that, because whenever they have a question, whenever they need to submit a new request, whether they need to do self-serve analytics, for example, as we saw on a previous slide, you can provide the user with a single screen called DataServe with a single integrated virtual agent that can control all of that for them. So it really makes the job of having a very complex software estate throughout your organization easier. The reason why we're talking about it here is it's also the portal for DataBelt. So if you imagine DataBelt being the heavy lifting data governance tool, you have your experts in there managing it and looking after the data and processing it. Where you want customers possibly to interact with that data, or employees, or whoever it might be, you can provide them with a really nice, clean front end that allows self-service to that data. So imagine you have, under GDPR, your customers can submit data subject access requests, for example. You can use DataServe to actually submit those requests to the right team. The customer can then track the progress of their request. And DataServe can even automate a lot of that searching itself. So where I might be a customer and I'm saying, hello, please tell me all the data that you hold on me. That's a huge process that normally takes organizations days, if not weeks or months to do. Where that request gets submitted through DataServe, it can actually go off to the relevant indexes in DataBelt and perform an automated query based on the details that the customer has put in. Now, it's not going to share that directly back to the customer, of course. One of your analysts using DataBelt would review it first and approve it, but it really cuts down the amount of time that is required for those types of requests. And also, it's the front of house of your company. You want to present a nice, clean, modern, and clever front end to your customers when they're interacting with you. So that is what DataServe is all about. And again, a lot of information there within the commas. So I'll let you read that at your own leisure. But again, just to reiterate, it's an end user portal or an employee portal with an integrated virtual agent that can take advantage of any GPT technology as well. And you will have undoubtedly been playing around with ChatGPT over the past few months. It's multilingual. It provides data from DataBelt essentially to customers, and that's what this on-demand automated information pipelines approach is that we have. Is all about the right information to the right people at the right time. So these two tools work in tandem with one another. So as I said earlier, it's the portal for DataBelt, but actually any system. So things like IT service management tools, facilities management tools, etc. And we're very big on accessibility. So we do go through the WCAG guidelines, and we do audit ourselves every year to see what parts of those things we tick and which parts we might want to improve. So customers, employees with accessibility needs, perhaps they are blind or have dexterity issues, for example. It's all about that not being a barrier to access to data.
Yes, we have few questions from Mark. Can you please provide a brief overview of your organization and its data challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting me. Nice to come here and be able to talk to a nice wide audience. I work for the British Business Bank, which is a government-owned economic bank specialising in helping businesses in the UK to access financial support. And we have, because we work for the government, we essentially have a specific lens on certain types of business in certain stages of growth, looking at sectors and technologies, whether they be green or net zero, and supporting regions, the north, the south, etc., Northern Ireland, Scotland, and things like that. And we're a sort of a key driver in the British economy, and one of the main arms that the bank that the government uses to try and shape the economy and put growth in the areas that it wants to. So we've been extremely successful at that. We've helped a lot of companies grow. And while investment and the types of investment we have are really the focus, the bank still managed to be able to turn profits as well. Now, the bank sort of grew as a disparate set of legal entities, really, that were all existed, or many existed, prior to 2012. They're almost separate companies, and they came together, sort of pushed together with lots of different competing technologies, lots of different data landscapes that didn't sort of line up or match. And over time, there's been, with a lack of a data culture and a lack of any real governance, because the bank started as despite being several organizations, still started as a small group of people, grew and grew, as many organizations do, and layered data upon data upon data, and in all sorts of processes that worked and worked well, did what they needed to do. As a result of that, we got to a point pre-COVID where we were in a position that we needed to support the economy with huge amounts of lending to make sure that, you know, the economy was able to survive the impending pandemic. And as a result, it grew again massively in terms of people, in terms of data and processes, and the amount of money that was flowing through the bank to get to the economy to support it through the difficult times. At the end of that process, unfortunately, when the bank had a chance to breathe, there was a realization that we got ourselves into a position that we didn't have a rationalized data estate. We didn't even understand the data estate, in fact, and we needed to start to get on top of it, and we needed to start to rationalize the landscape and try and bring it under control. Naturally, we want to implement a data culture, and we want to bring about governance and all of those lovely things that come with that add value to what we're doing. So that brought us to the point that we recognized the sheer scale of the challenge ahead of us, and we began the process of looking to start to figure out what we were going to do to fix the issues and try and shift the bank into a better position.
So why did you select AIM software product for solving those challenges?
It's quite an easy question to answer, to be fair, and I'll give you the short answer first, which is that the DataBelt just offered a lot more functionality and flexibility, actually, as well, which is more important in some ways. And it offered it for better value than a lot of the established tools that we were looking at in the market. I don't think I can really talk about the different tools that we looked at in that process, but there were 6 or 7 tools, including DataBelt, that we looked at. And we had, at the time, just some basic requirements that we had for DataBelt in order to support that. What I needed to do, which was to identify data in the bank and to help me label that data, label it in line with some of the conceptual terms, for instance, that we have in a conceptual model, and with other bits of metadata that we can pull out from within the files or from within the file metadata itself, so that we can take that, identify what we call end user computes, which is typically things like spreadsheets, try and find this data, identify it where it's part of the process, a repeated process, and then start to put it into the lineage. And it was all part of the process of completing this data lineage, describing the data in that lineage, accurately representing who owns it, what it's doing, how often it might be updated, the type of data that's in it, and things like that. And in terms of how we wanted to label that data, but also context that we want to add to that data in terms of data containers that we need to be able to connect to and things like that. DataBelt was just far and away the best tool. And aside from that, it also came with a bunch of other stuff that we weren't really focused on at the time, but we knew we might be able to use around the data governance and the CMDB, things like the ROT analysis, redundancy, obsoleteness, and triviality, similarity and duplication, and all kind of things you'd want if you do want to go ahead at some point and start to try and rationalize your data escape from an IG perspective, from an information governance perspective, where you start looking at the GDPR. And we knew that was going to come up as well. It wasn't a use case at the time, but it was great that it had all of that functionality, the workflow, case management in there as well, which again, for the DMO, for the data management office that I work in, it wasn't necessarily so important, but knowing that it's there for the future, if we can try and sort of roll that out to the business, was fantastic, because a lot of the stuff we were looking at didn't have that. A lot of the tools that we were looking at are extremely basic. So in a culture where we didn't really have, well, in an organization where we didn't have data culture, we don't have accountability, we don't have responsibility, and we're relying on people to tell us about data almost. We realized that wasn't working, and so we went to look for DataBelt for that reason. And in fact, we've now used it quite extensively. As Steve mentioned, we are pushing the boundaries of what DataBelt can do. I mean, as an individual, I come from a position of being a little bit lazy, which I try and translate into finding efficiencies. Still obviously working hard, but trying to find efficiencies and trying to use DataBelt to find those efficiencies. And it's helped us a lot in the first instance when it comes to finding data, labeling it and identifying it. But one of the things that it's been particularly useful in terms of that labeling is the fact that, and come back to that word flexibility, the idea that we can add context to the labeling of the data that we're looking for instance. We can sort of take that and make it 3-dimensional instead of 2-dimensional. So instead of just identifying where we've got certain sets of terms, we can apply context to that, which is particularly useful if you want to start looking for personal identifiable information, where you can always find information relating to personal terms, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's sort of identifiable, relates to a particular person, etc. And quite often there's more complex rules around this type of data that you want to be able to put in to reduce the number of false positives. And that's where the flexibility of DataBelt really helps us, because with a tool like this, from a data discovery point of view and a labeling and classification and analysis, one of the first things you really want to minimize is the number of false positives you're getting back. You want to make sure that the stuff you put in back is the stuff that you're really interested in, and that the amount of manual work you need to do to go through and sort of whittle that down is minimum. And that's how it is with DataBelt. So we've got to a point where we've got all this wonderful data, and it's already helping us analyze and find data that's been hiding away in the shadows, which the bank had many, and complete the lineage yet further. And this information is all massively important when it comes to the huge processes of change that the bank's trying to go through, because a lot of this stuff, when we go through change processes, when we go through projects trying to bring in huge enterprise systems and trying to understand what the requirements and the functionality is, when you go through these processes and you're talking with people, a lot of this data just falls into the background. You don't know why you've got files sitting there. You don't even remember that you have, because there's other people that work for you doing that, and they haven't mentioned that there is this file, and there's a reason why that file's there, and there's functionality and requirements around that processing that needs to be considered. But DataBot helps us shine that light, put it into the tools that we need to be able to demonstrate it, and make sure that data stays on the table. So it's that data democratization that allows us to ensure we're always up to date. But on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, around the governance and all the other aspects that DataBot brings to the table, we've now got to a point where we've managed to make this the de facto discovery tool, and almost to a level of data governance and information governance tool within the bank. And it's now supporting a move away from one type of file system to another, where we can apply more governance, where we can apply more rules around file and application metadata. It's facilitating legal discovery. It's now sort of taken over what was a much more expensive product previously, to be able to identify data and push that towards a legal discovery tool, where the legal team can analyze that data. And again, it all comes down to that flexibility. But I want to just sort of slightly change the question you asked, because the question's all very sort of product based, and actually it's not just the products that we bought. We obviously bought a relationship with AIM as well, and the basis on which the tool is built, which is, it's quite open, it's flexible, we can do a lot with it, we can connect APIs to do anything that the tool does internally. We can connect an API and trigger. That flexibility exists very much within the company as well, with AIM, and with the way we've worked with them to engage with them to do the things that we want to do. Flexibility, not just in terms of engagement, but in time, in trying to work out new ways to use the tool, to push the tool and support us in there. And yeah, so far our experience has been absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic tool that's really been a bit of a game changer for us, and has provided a lot more functionality than we ever intended to get out of it. We certainly hope to get more out of it, but more than we ever intended to get out of it, and the value that we get from this versus what we pay for it is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, really pleased with DataBot. Using so having rolled this out to the information governance team now, and then previously using another tool for their own discovery. It is night and day between the efficiency of the processes, and because of the way that DataBot works with this indexing and ingestion of data, the previous tool, which is an extremely well-known tool that many people will have in their stack, it would be a day's worth of work, including downloading all of the data to be able to do a simple freedom of information or DSAR, or fulfill that kind of a request, because of the way that the tooling would work, which is it didn't ingest the data, it looked across the estate in its entirety. It took many hours to complete. It was complex, and the ability to create queries was limited. And so not only that, but once you then got the results back, you either had to redo an entire scan, or you download the data to be able to review it. And with DataBot, the ability to sort of break that down into much smaller steps of data that's already been ingested into a readily available sort of pool that we can query against and get information back, we can sort of break that down from a day's worth of work into, sometimes 15 minutes, where we can get the results that we want, or make changes to the queries that that we're doing, look at the preview, try and figure out if it's kind of in the ballpark of what we're looking at. And it's just night and day, and they're absolutely bowled over by how much better and how much more efficient it is. And I think they were, a little bit shocked, because I think previously this, as I say, well-known and pretty much standard tool seemed like the baseline of what was possible. And obviously DataBot's gone on to show that it can be much, much better.
how are you keeping ahead of the technology curve in this market?
Yeah, I think probably just a quick bit on data democratization. So, Mark was explaining his journey and the bank's journey, going from a complex tool that was hard to use and may have taken a few hours or days to get a query to Databelt, and then really slashing that down to a few minutes. I think that's where the world is going. It's all about simplification and making things that would have taken days be even quicker. And I think that's where DataServe, which I mentioned earlier, really comes into it, and actually using the power of GPT technologies like ChatGPT to help people answer those questions. So if you imagine, whereas previously you might spend days creating a query and looking at the data, we then moved into this sort of Databelt world where it's quicker and easier to do. You can then move on a step further, and if you imagine asking a virtual agent in plain English or any other language, actually it is multilingual, a data question, and it goes off to Databelt indexes, compiles the answer for you, and then brings it back. I think that's where the world is going. It's certainly where we are, I'm pleased to say. But certainly I'm sure that the number of competitors in that space of what we call data democratization will increase, and there'll be a lot more organizations doing a similar thing with their tooling.